Okay, today is Wednesday, October 4th. This is going to be a real short one. Just finished painting the other side of this large aluminum piece that will be making up the floor there. Walk over here. This piece here is primed on both sides and dry, so that's the firewall. So that'll be the next thing that I'm working on. So that's about all I've gotten done so far. One thing I will say is rolling that stuff on versus brushing is night and day. It goes on really nice. It hasn't been drying for terribly long, and I don't know if I can really show with the phone, but those little streaks and bumps and stuff, sometimes they do show a little bit, but it's just primer, so who cares? But it smooths out really nice. Like once it's dry, a lot of that, the texture from rolling it on, and there's a few places I probably could have been more careful, but for the most part, it just smooths itself out over time, and by the time it's dry, it's just completely smooth and looks really nice. And when it comes to painting, now that I've seen how nicely this kind of dries, what I'm planning on doing, there's a very high quality boat paint that goes on in a very similar way, and what I'll be doing is rolling it on to the when I go to paint the whole plane. I can't remember the name of the paint, but it's made for boats, and I'll be painting that on with a roller and then polishing it afterwards. Is it the same as a $12,000 Imron paint job? No, but it's also not a $12,000 paint job. So I really like the way this stuff comes out once it's dry. I guess I can show on this one that's already so floppy. So that's really floppy, but I was able to get it to stand up. So if I get the phone really close, and it's kind of hard to tell, I guess, but that just went on really smooth, and I didn't even try that hard. And the one side that was really bad that I brushed on, I did have to sand it a little bit, but not a lot. And then the other side, I rolled on, and it just went on so nice. So I expect this to kind of turn out the same way. I mean, it's only primer, but it also goes to show, how nice a roll-on paint job can look. And when you're 10,000 feet in the sky, do you really care if it's perfectly smooth quality paint job? Especially when it costs a quarter of what it would cost to have a paint booth done. So anyway, that's the state of affairs right now. I probably won't get back to it till the weekend, and then I'll be bolting that onto the cutting it up and bolting it onto the front and removing those 3,000 bolts that are on the front. So that's it for October 4th. Okay, today is Saturday, October 9th. Just started pulling all these bolts out and clecoing everything in place. So of course some of those things will fall apart if they're not clecoed. So there's clecos holding everything, and then once all the bolts are out, I can start pulling those out and figuring out the best way to put the firewall up against there and match drill it, and then put all the bolts back in. So this is a bit of a job, but it is getting done. Quick shout out to Hugo, who came out yesterday to take a look at my project. Thanks for stopping by and sharing everything. So I guess I'll be back at this probably tomorrow, and hoping to get at least the firewall in. Firewall is actually sitting over there. Sorry for the light against the camera. the firewall is sitting over there. All the paint, the primer and everything is dry, so it's ready to go. So hopefully tomorrow the firewall will be done. So that's it for today. Pretty short day. Okay, today is Sunday, October 10th, and I've gotten all of the bolts out of the front here now, and I'm getting the firewall cut up to the right dimension. I've got part of it done, so width-wise, it's the correct width now. And you know, started measuring, but kind of decided I was getting a little hungry, so I'm gonna call it a night. But that's where this sits right now. I'm gonna be cutting that, and then once it's the right size and cut out for, you know, these all 4 of these motor mounts, I'll be putting that on and match drilling it, and then putting all the bolts back. So all these bolts here are what was holding that together. So right now it's just clecoed. So should be able to get that done sometime during the week if I don't get harangued into something. If I don't get it done this week, I may not get it done till next month, because I've got some stuff coming up. But I should be able to, at the very least, get the firewall bolted on, unless, you know, something happens. But that's where everything sits right now. That's what I'm focusing on, is just getting that done. And it looks like I might be able to get the landing gear within a reasonable amount of time, so I'm going to look into getting that on order and on its way here. So hopefully that'll be good timing, and I'll have this completely finished and ready to start the next kind of kit package, and then go from there. So that's where it sits for October 10th. Just in case anybody wants to see what this looks like from the top, I'm busy replacing all the old fluorescent lights that most of them don't work anymore. So I'm, you know, up here replacing all these. Got 2 of them done. Got 2 more to go. So anyway, figured I'd make a quick shot of this while I'm up here. So if anybody's curious about what it looks like from the top, that's what it looks like. I guess the most interesting thing is, you know, the cabin where the main wing spar is. If the other videos didn't show it clearly, that should. So that's the view from above. Okay, today is Sunday, October 17th, and as you can see, some of the front of the cabin has been removed, so I can attach the firewall. What I ended up doing is there's just a minimal number of clecos in here, and I actually glued these together just so they'll stay in place. That's what some of those clamps and mostly clecos are, just holding everything together, waiting for the glue to dry. So it'll stay in place long enough for me to put the front on there and then match drill it. It's a lot easier than trying to measure everything and getting it exact. It's much easier just to do it in place. So that's what I'm gonna do. This area down here obviously doesn't need it because it's being held by that. So once all that is dry, I can finish up with the firewall, and then that'll be done. These holes here along the top are from the bolts here that are holding the front top of the firewall on. I'll probably shoot this again with primer around the edges where I cleaned up all the corners and edges and stuff from cutting it. So just to make it look a little prettier. So this is all ready to go along the top here. I just left the bolts and nuts together. So that'll go back onto the firewall as soon as this is dry, and then I can put everything else on. It's just impossible to do this without securing those in place. So, and glue works just fine. So that's basically all I have right now for the for plane progress. A good bit of time was spent actually putting new lights in the hangar. So there's one there, one there, one there, one there. They're LED replacements for some fluorescents that looked like they were circa 1945. Maybe a year after fluorescents were invented, because they were really old. I don't know when fluorescents were invented, but whenever they were, it wasn't much past that because they were really old. So anyway, these are, I don't know if you can tell from the other videos, but it's significantly brighter in here. And there was also a light up there that I never used that's actually hooked up to the light switch that never did anything. And I put one of those kind of ceiling fan type lights in there that has a little LED pedals, and that's really freaking bright. So I imagine a lot of where the light is coming from in this center area, but the whole area this side of the hangar, that's somebody else's spot, but this side of the hangar is really well lit now. So anyway, that's the progress for now. These parts as well are this is just the spacers up against those other firewall supports, and I glued those together so I won't have to fight with them when I'm trying to put them back on. And these are just a couple extra pieces that can go on later. I think that's about it. I spent a lot of time this weekend just doing those lights, so this is about all I have done for the front. But it's once that glue is dry, I'm just gonna go home. I'm starting to get hungry, and it's getting later in the day. I'm just kind of sick of doing this, so once I get a chance to do this, the glue is probably already dry, but I'll come back either tomorrow or sometime next week and probably finish that off, and then the firewall will be done. So I got a bunch of these welding magnets for holding stuff in place when I'm making the angles and stuff. Those should come in handy. I will probably also get a small welding table because everything in here is wood, and welding and wooden tabletops don't really play nice together. So Harbor Freight, I think, has a cheap one that I can just put in here just to do that little bit of welding. I'm not a welder. I don't need a giant welding table that costs $500. I just need something metal to weld on. So hopefully that'll get done. It probably won't get done until after the end of this after the end of the month, because I have a business trip that's going to get in the way of working on anything. So early November should be getting the bracing in. The flooring shouldn't take long. Of course, I said that about the firewall, but the flooring shouldn't take long. I'm going to put that in last just because I know I'm going to have to get in there, and the flooring is going to be a major pain if I do that. The landing gear is on its way, or it's not on its way. It's the check is on its way. So The landing gear will probably be here sometime this month, early next month for sure. Uh, and then once the landing gear is here and it's put on, I'll just set it on its on the landing gear, and then take these tables out and use them for extra workspace. So that is the plan, and I think that's about it for Sunday, October 17th. Okay, and today, what is today? Today is Wednesday, the 20th of October. Just doing a quick video note of how I did this firewall part while the firewall is still off. I found the easiest thing to do for these is just to lightly glue them together. So when I go to match drill the firewall, because it's basically going to be impossible to put the firewall in there kind of a bolt at a time, because whenever you measure stuff, it's just it's going to be off a little bit. So match drilling it, everything will be perfect, and just lightly gluing those enough so they'll stay together while I put the firewall on is a very easy solution. So that's the step that I'm at right now, and later tonight I'm hoping to get all this bolted back together. So, and by the way, these lights are fantastic. There's 4 of them. They're the what are they? The 5,000 lumen Harbor Freight. They're single bulb. There's 4 of them, and then this kind of ceiling fan type looking thing with the fold out pedals, where the light that never did work is that works now. So it's super bright in here, and I'm super happy about that. So anyway, that's how I'm doing the firewall. So I will get back to work. Okay, I've gotten the top part secured, and these are just kind of on loose. I just want to make sure that everything is perfectly aligned and snug and everything. So this took I don't know, about an hour and a half to because I had to actually measure these, because if you get in to there, let the camera focus, those are just impossible even with an angle drill. With this thing in the way here, it's just impossible to do those. So I measured them and drilled them, and the same with the 2 that are down there. And these are just kind of loose right now. I haven't tightened everything up. If you have a wife or small children to help, it's much easier to get your hands in there. Where is it at? Up in there. If you don't have giant hands. So that sucked a little bit for me because I don't have any help right now. So find somebody with small hands if you can to help you out with that part, because it's really tough. Luckily, I've got long enough fingers that I can get in there, but it's difficult. So that's about it for tonight. The rest of this is just mainly match drilling. Part of my glue job kind of let go there, but that's okay. It's still holding enough to do what I need to do. So good enough. It was very, very weak glue. I just wanted it to stay there long enough to drill it. So that's about it. I just got to mash drill all these little holes, and of course do some stuff down the sides here where there's no attachment points at all. So that'll come after I match drill everything else and put everything on. Then I can tidy it up, make it really nice along the edges here and along the top here. And I'll probably reprime this a little bit because it's a little bit nasty from where I was cutting it and filing it smooth and everything. So that's where it sits for today, October 20th, and I may or may not get back to it tomorrow. We'll see. Okay, today is Saturday, October 23rd, and as you can see, I'm slowly getting this firewall put in. Not all the bolts are in yet. I'm just kind of at a stopping point, so there's kind of a mishmash of finished and unfinished bolts there, but it's getting there. So that's the front end. You can see I haven't cut the hole for the nose gear yet, so you can see kind of slight dimple where it sticks out just a fraction of an inch past where the firewall is. I kind of wanted to cut that with a Dremel after everything was in, so I could make a nice, clean, straight, perfectly sized cut, rather than measuring it and it being slightly off and just looking bad. So I'll get in there with a Dremel later and cut that out nice and clean, so it looks good, and it it actually works. So the other side, you can see just more putting the same bolts that were there. Some of them I upsized, not in width, obviously, just in length. Not all of them it was necessary, but it just makes it easier because the metal flexes a little bit, and when this here moves in and out, it's not going to move anymore because the bolts are already in it. But it's hard to get the screws all the way in because you've got that much space holding it out, and your arms are only so long. So putting a little bit longer bolts in there makes it a little bit easier. So that once this is done and that hole is cut down there, the firewall will be done, and then of course, like I mentioned several times, the brace and the fuel lines and the floor. The check is actually in the mail, literally, for the landing gear. So I'm hoping within a week or two of getting back from my hiatus, I'm going to be gone for about a week. So I won't be doing anything on this for a week, but that'll give Bede a chance to get all their ducks in a row and ship out the landing gear, and then when I get back, I'll be working on this, and then the last bits that need to be done. So that's kind of where it sits right now. The firewall's almost done, and those last bits need to be put in, and then of course the landing gear is coming, and that's a whole at least a month or two more work of putting that in. So that should be fun. So I guess that's it for now. I'll just explain what this contraption is. So here I've just clamped the front end with some clamps on this side and on this side, just to hold it down, because you got to put a lot of pressure on the metal there to get it to drill through that really hard steel. So that's why those clamps are there. Otherwise, I'd be pushing it, and then those stands would fall down, and it would make a horrible mess, and I'd be very sad. So that's what those clamps are there, holding everything down for. Okay, today is Sunday, October 31st, and I've got most of this done now. There's just a few brackets on the other side that need to be match drilled and put in. This part here is all done, and the cutout is all finished, so I'm pretty happy with that. What I ended up doing was using a cutting disc with the angle grinder, and then along the top and the bottom I used a multi-tool with a hard metal cutting blade on it. And this alloy of steel is really, really hard. You'll exercise your ability to swear profusely trying to get everything drilled through there, because it just, oh, what a pain. But if you persevere, you will get everything drilled. And actually cutting that hole out was probably the easiest thing to do. Drilling these holes is just awful. It's so hard. So anyway, enough complaining. This is all done now, and the cutout is done. The only thing I have left to do is so there's there's the same brackets as these up here. I need to go back in here. I'm gonna match drill that and then put the bracket back on and bolt it back on. And same with that side. So once that's done, and a little bit of cleanup, fastening, putting in a few more fasteners along the top and the sides here and the front. I need to actually ask somebody about that, how they fastened that, or if they did anything, like if they just glued it with Pro Seal or something. I need to ask about that before I start drilling holes. But barring that, this is all done, and cleaning that little bit up isn't going to be terribly difficult, other than exercising the aforementioned swearing vocabulary, trying to get those holes through the metal. So I think that's about it for now. I haven't got a ton done because I've been away, and I've got a bunch of landscaping stuff to do at home I'm still working on. But yeah, this turned out quite nice, and just a few more bolts to go and it's completely done. So I guess that's my my short video log for October 31st. Okay, today is Thursday, November 4th. This is basically done. All of the bolting is done. There's one left to do, but I gotta get home. Wife says dinner's gonna be ready soon, so there's one bolt left to do, and it takes a while because there's no way to get a drill in there. You have to measure it from the other side, and then come around on this side and remeasure it, and then drill it. That's really the only way, unless you've got a tiny little right angle drill or something to go in there, but I don't. What I did for these really difficult ones that are like right next to something that are almost impossible to do is I would, where I could get the drill in, I would just I would drill it from the other side, make a dimple on this side, mark it, and then drill from this side where I can really give it some leverage, because there's so many tight little spots in there, especially these things. It's too tight to get in there. It's easier to just make a dimple from this side and then drill it, or worst case, and in fact on this one, you can see I haven't finished it yet. That bottom one I had to measure, because there's just no way to get a drill in there, not without taking this off, and I didn't really want to do it. And just for 2 bolts that you have to measure, it's not the end of the world. These top 2, just barely get a long drill bit in there to drill into it, and then make a dimple on the other side. So I found that the fastest way to get I found that the fastest way to get these done was to mark them on the other side, and then use sheer muscle power to push the drill through. This stuff is really hard. I know this doesn't mean anything in the video, but these are, what are they, DeWalt? These are DeWalt hard metal bits. I think they were about 25-ish bucks for a set of them. Really, all you need is this one, but I found a couple times it was nice to have the smaller ones because I could make a pilot hole. But you'll definitely need super hard metal bits because that metal is just ridiculously hard. So I guess the only modification I made was this spacer down here. If you look in here, there's that bracket, the way the metal lines up. I'll see if I can orient the camera so you can tell what I'm doing. So because this one is in a different kind of plane this way, this one is what is it, a 1/16 of an inch offset from the firewall, so I just put a spacer in there so it would be even. You know, for that matter, the whole thing is a 1/16 off, but that's not such a big deal. I just wanted a spacer right where the attachment point was, so there wasn't any, you know, stress. And you'd see it on this side, and I did see it. You know, that would just kind of push in a little bit, and it just didn't look right, so I put a spacer in there, and now it looks fine. I think what I'm going to do is, once I finish that bolt, probably get at it tomorrow. Once I finish that bolt, I'll clean this up a little bit and then repaint everything because it's a little scratched up from doing the bolting and everything and cutting. The whole thing is really close to being done, and I can start putting landing gear on it and making it look even more like an airplane. So I think that's about it. Next video will probably be putting the fuel lines in, because that's probably the easiest thing to do next. Okay, that's it for today. Okay, today is November 7th. The firewall is finally done. Last video I just had the one bolt down there to do, and that one was done, but I also got a bunch put in here along the top. It just looked a little neater. It's probably overkill, but it's nice and flat along the top there now. There were some burn marks from cutting the metal, so that's why it looks kind of glossy right now. I just painted it, just touch up cheapo primer. I just wanted to cover up the spots that where the primer actually burned a little bit from the heat of cutting it. So once this dries, I'll be taking all that junk off, and next job is the fuel lines going down there. So hopefully I'll get to that sometime this week. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching.